Good evening, everyone. And thank you all so much for coming to this very special event that we are having now. We are in the process of recording this so that we hope that you enjoy what is you are in store for. It is an evening of uncertain times in the theater. And we thought that what we'd like to do is present to you this evening, this lovely Wednesday evening in June 25th at 6 p.m. I'm stepping out of my role. My name is Lenny Godfrey, and I'm stepping out of my role as president of the League of Professional Theater Women. And now just introducing to you what we've come to realize as the uncertain times in the theater. And we thought before the end of our year here at the League that we would gather together some people who have some similar experiences, but global experiences about the theater and tell their stories. And then maybe it will influence us as to how we can move together on the challenges that we have here. So that being said, so that you know why we're doing this, and this will be shown to the entire membership and all those who will visit our YouTube channel for the League of Professional Theater Women will be able to see this. So without further ado, who I'd like to introduce you to as we slowly introduce you to the guest artists that are coming. I'd like to introduce you to a member and a board member of the League of Professional Theater Women, who really is responsible for a lot of this. If you were not at the annual meeting in May, you missed a wonderful panel, and on this panel was one of our guest artists who will be introduced by this next person in a few minutes. But I want to introduce this next person to you. Her name is Tanya Kodak, and she is a board member. She's been one since the pandemic, 5 years. She is the artistic director of I'm sorry, uh, Interlock Public Puppets, and she came to me earlier in the year with an idea of having a panel talk about theater. And then when we came to this, it was Tanya who kind of looped everyone together and decided that this was a story that needed to be told. So I give her the credit for this. I just thought that it would be a wonderful idea. And with that, I'd like to introduce to you our board member, Tanya Cordy. Tanya.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see everyone. I am a board member of the League of Professional Theater Women, and I'm the co-artistic director of Evolve Puppets. And I'm lucky to be able to introduce Edward Einhorn and Maryna Yakubovich. I hope I'm saying your name the right way. If I haven't, I'm so sorry. We were just very excited about involving Edward Einhorn and Edward and Maryna in this conversation. Edward is a multi-hyphenate theater artist. He's a playwright, director, novelist, librettist, and he has focused mostly in his career on the theater of the absurd, which also extended to human rights, the human condition, and often political and social themes. Edward is going to be taking his play, The Marriage of Alice B. Toklas and Gertrude Stein, to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this year. So we congratulate him and Untitled Theater Company number 61, of which he is the artistic director. In addition, so in 2006, Edward created the Václav Havel Festival, which included all of Václav Havel's plays, and even some of these sort of really obscure smaller plays that he had sort of hidden away in a drawer. I was lucky enough to be able to, together with my creative partner, have the world premiere of Motormorphosis at that festival as well. So lucky me, I get to be in good company with all these amazing people. so out of that developed this, wonderful relationship that Edward had with Václav Havel, extending to him being able to translate many of Václav Havel's plays, and then ultimately having a relationship with Czech culture and the Czech Cultural Institutes. I'm sorry, I'm not calling it by the right name right now, but the Czech Center, excuse me, and then when upon Václav Havel's death, there was the Rehearsal for Truth Festival in honor of Václav Havel that was created. And Edward is now the artistic director of that festival. And it features Central and Eastern European plays and artists. And in this year's festival, the audience members, were also lucky. I got to experience this as well, to experience Maryna Yakubovich's beautiful play about an imprisoned theater activist in Belarus. I'm going to turn it over to Edward. That's all a mouthful. And thank you so much. Without further ado, let's welcome him.
Hello, so I'm Edward Einhorn. I'm just going to give a quick history of the festival and why I did it, and then introduce Maryna, because I really do want the focus to be on Maryna and some of the credible work that she's done. As Tanya was saying, in 2006, I put together this festival, the plays with Václav Havel, and Havel was there for the festival, and now I'm running the Rehearsal for Truth International Theater Festival, which honors Václav Havel. The Václav Havel Center is a branch of the Václav Havel Library, which is in Prague. But here in New York City, we do shows at the Bohemian National Hall, which is also the home of the Czech Center, and we try to present works that follow the legacy of Václav Havel. So I'm just going to give a quick little history of Havel's, because I've used his name a lot without introducing him. Havel was a dissident writer in Czechoslovakia during the communist years, and his work was banned. Then after his work came back, I'm sorry, in 1977, so I was reading a thing at the same time. There we are together. In 1977, I'm going to still just introduce him a little bit more, and we'll just keep on this, and then we'll explain what this photo is. In 1977, he wrote a thing called Charter 77, which was a human rights document, and asked the Czechoslovak government to follow the international standards of human rights, and as a result, he was banned. He was put in jail, and he was in jail for about 4 years at that time. I think about 7 years overall. And then in 1989, there was a revolution in Czechoslovakia around the same time as the Berlin Wall fell. Just a little bit after, there was this thing called the Velvet Revolution in Czechoslovakia, and he became the leader of that revolution. That revolution was planned in theaters and the basements of a theater called the Magic Lantern, and Havel led it, and then was eventually elected president. So he has a real stature in terms of his both artistic and political and moral activities. And so I had been a huge fan of his just by reading his work and being aware of the Velvet Revolution, and approached him about doing this festival in 2006, and met with his agent and came to Prague, and he said yes, we should go ahead and do it. And so we had this 3-month festival. Simultaneously, Colombia had a residency for him, so he was here for the whole festival. He participated in the festival. I got to know him. I got to work with him for a number of years afterwards. So I'm going to, when we bring on that photo, and just want to mention one interesting little tidbit about Havel, and here we are at Joe's Pub during the Havel Festival. It was the final event of the festival, and he's actually telling me here about how Lou Reed came to Czechoslovakia just after the Velvet Revolution, and they went to a bar, and the bar owner showed Lou Reed the music of the Velvet Underground, and which was contraband. He could have been arrested during communist years for just owning the music of the Velvet Underground, because rock and roll was contraband. And Lou Reed burst into tears seeing it. So he was here for 3 months. He came to all these downtown theaters. And another story you told me at the time was very much about being at the Public Theater in 1968, before the Soviets had really clamped down and he couldn't leave Czechoslovakia. And being there when Martin Luther King was assassinated, and how the Velvet Revolution was actually inspired by the marches right after Martin Luther King was assassinated. So they had these nonviolent marches, and the Velvet Revolution is called the Velvet Revolution because it was a completely nonviolent revolution. And one event led to the next event, and it really shows that the way the world is so interconnected. And I'm going to talk in a second about the Belarus Free Theater, who met with Havel years later, and you know how the Belarusian struggle is very much connected to that, the ideas written in Charter 77. So anyways, here he is in Joe's Pub talking about that. And I'm going to move to the next slide. And you'll see this is actually the anniversary of the Velvet Revolution. And we had a party at a little tiny theater in Brooklyn called The Brick. And I didn't think he was going to come, but I invited him. But I figured, as the leader of the revolution, he probably had things to do with diplomats on the anniversary of his own revolution. But in fact, he brought all those diplomats to us. So Madeleine Albright was there, the ambassadors to the UN and to the United States were there, and Consul General, various diplomats. And if you want to look at the next slide, he gave a speech about how he would prefer to be in a theater over anywhere else on the anniversary of the revolution, because essentially, despite all the world-shaking events he was part of, he was a playwright, he was a man of the theater, and he really believed in the power of theater to change the world. And he proved the power of theater to change the world. His works went across Czechoslovakia in Samizdat, which is in sort of a covert way of transmitting material. And people could quote it in cafes, even though he was banned. And so he was really, it was a really moving speech. It was a really amazing time to have him in New York for those three months. Okay, I'm going to move forward now. And here we see Maryna's show, Connection. So the Rehearsal for Truth Festival, as I mentioned, is all Central and Eastern European work. Maryna is from Belarus, and she made this one-woman show that talks about the political prisoners. There are so many of them right now in Belarus. Um, uh, in particular, she talked about Maria Kolesnikova, but all of the prisoners who are living there in Belarus read letters, shared her own experiences, and it was a really moving piece. And I felt like it really speaks to what I want the festival to be doing, which is talking about these major issues. Here you see another slide. Now, we had originally invited her to be there in person, and but these are actually photos of a performance in Salzburg, um, and we had to live stream her from Salzburg for the show because the U.S. government wouldn't give her a visa. So that's also a subject worth talking about as we talk about ways to theater can impact the world right now and needs to impact the world by now. Also the difficulties in the world and our own government in terms of achieving that sort of impact. If we look at the next slide, this is a talk back we had with Maryna in the Bohemian National Hall after her show. So we were able to create a live feed that also could interact with. That's Anna Trubakova there. She's a Belarusian journalist talking to Maryna. And I think there's another slide of us also doing so. And one thing I thought I would bring up, because this is the League of Women, Professional Theater Women, is that the revolution in Belarus has been driven by the women to a great extent in recent years, because the men were put in jail. And it was the belief, and Maryna can talk a little bit more about this, that the revolution would die down if you put the men in jail. But in fact, as you can see from a slide of what happened afterwards, there was a flower revolution where the women went out and would dress up with flowers, and they came and they found their own ways to make a statement. And eventually there was an election, and only a woman could run, and she won. And so anyway, that will all be part of my discussion with Maryna. Here's another photo from that flower revolution. Okay, I'm going to move away from the slides and take a second to invite Maryna and introduce her. Maryna is the both the co-author and the lead performer of the play that was performed, and she was a member of the Belarus Free Theater, the lead actress of it for 16 years. For those of you who don't know the Belarus Free Theater, they just recently performed at La Mama. They've been doing this work for so many years, first in Belarus, now they are based in London, because you would get jailed if you continue at this point in Belarus. And she's been doing her own work in Austria. The production that you saw was co-sponsored by the Austrian Cultural Forum, and that live stream was arranged in coordination with them. And she is at a university in Salzburg teaching and continues to do work and continue to spread the word and showing what theater can do politically in in difficult situations. So I'm going to invite Maryna to join us, um, and maybe we can chat about that.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Edward. So nice to see you again
It's
online.
I know, I know. I hope we can see each other actually in person sometime.
Yes, fingers crossed. I hope so. Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing all this story about Václav Havel. I don't know, but actually, it's really interesting. Václav Havel was life patron of Belarus Free Theater,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he also invited, yeah, our ensemble to his house. So yes, he's a great man. He was a great man, and he is a great man who supports democracy all around the world. And yes, I'm very proud to kind of touched him um, in artistic and personal way. Yes. And you're absolutely right. Now I am in Salzburg. I'm living in Salzburg, and I made performance here, performance about Belarusian political prisoners, women, because I don't know, should I start to tell all this story, or
Yeah,
you have some
tell,
concrete questions?
no, no. Go ahead and tell the story.
Yeah. So, as you said, I was an actress in Belarus Free Theater more than 16 years, and we were trying to change Belarus because we were making this. Actually, we didn't make political performances. It was just performances which brings or raise up the social topics. But unfortunately, when you live in dictatorship, all the social topics became political ones. For example, when we staged Sarah Kane 440, Psychos 448, it was banned because they said like, oh my God, this performance, when I say they, I mean Ministry of Culture in Belarus. They said that this performance talks about um, homosexuality, it's about drugs, it's about psychological issues. And in Belarus, we don't have any of them. And that's ridiculous because it's kind of, it's stupid. So each hour performance became political one just because dictatorship doesn't want um, to see reality. It's just prefer this beautiful picture when everything is clear, clean, and beautiful. But I think USA now will start to understand it. I hope no, but it looks like you are. So yes, I was working in Belarus Free Theater. We were doing all these beautiful performances. We were talking about political situation in Belarus, social situation in Belarus, um, disappeared people, disappeared politicians. What took place at the very beginning of 2000s in Belarus. And I got used to create something very important and share this performance, this art with the audience. And when I left Belarus Free Theater, I started to think, what should I do? Because this is kind of my painful topic, Belarusian political prisoners, and especially women, because Lukashenko, it's a dictator, Belarusian dictator, so-called president. He's such a terrible person. He said that he doesn't fight with women, but actually he does, and he is now in Belarusian prisons. More than 300 women political prisoners, and they are um, now in terrible conditions. They have a special yellow labels. It means that their conditions should be even harder, that other prisoners couldn't talk with them, couldn't communicate. They could be punished because of this communication. They don't get hygiene products. Yes, I'm sorry for my English. I'm doing my best. And they are threatened by their kids. I mean, government said that they will take kids from the family. And it's really terrible. And I was thinking, what can I do? Because I couldn't just keep silent. Now I am not in Belarus. I have this, amazing right to talk, amazing option, possibility to talk. So I decided to create this performance. And yes, I interviewed about 10 former political prisoners who was lucky to escape Belarus after they served their sentence. And yeah, I collect all these terrible stories, and I was so shocked because each of these women told me that I was lucky. I was lucky that I got just 2 years. I was lucky that I wasn't beaten by an officer when I was arrested. I was lucky I was beaten during the arrest, but I got in a nice, if I could say so, standard cell type unit with nice people. Or it was everything was bad, but also I don't know, I wasn't threatened with my kids. So it's terrible. These women, they shouldn't experience this at all, but they think that they are lucky because it wasn't worth. And yes, I choose as a protagonist Maria Kolesnikova. She's an amazing person. She's a musician. She's a cultural manager, and she became a politician because she became a head of one of the candidates and presidents. I don't know, Stab. In German, there is this word, Stab, office. Yes. And actually, she was the one who stayed in Belarus because, as you, Edward, mentioned, this flower revolution, it was amazing protest of women. It was feministic protest also because three women leads this protest. Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, Maria Kolesnikova, and Victoria Tsepkala. And unfortunately, after this protest was very harshly crushed, just Maria Kolesnikova stayed in Belarus, and she stayed there knowing that she would be arrested, and it was her choice. She was a symbol of Belarusian revolution, of feminism, of creativity, of everything beautiful. And yes, her story became such a nightmare because she's still in prison. She sentenced for, I think, 11 years, and now she's almost 5 years in prison. More than, not more, almost 2 years. She was kept in single cell unit. So it's terrible conditions. She was isolated completely from other prisoners. She was not allowed to have some prison meetings with her family. She was not allowed to get any letters from whoever. She was not allowed to meet her lawyer. And also one of the reasons why I decided to make this show, it's tortures, because I just realized when I moved to Europe, I realized that when I say people are in prison, European citizens, and I think you are also, kind of, you have an imagination of your prisons. And just believe me, it's a very nice place, European prisons and USA prisons, in comparing with Belarusian one, because it's really terrible and people are dying there. And it looks like nobody cares about it. So yes, Maria was in complete isolation. If I remember it correct, 623 days, complete isolations. We didn't know is she alive or not. And it's terrible when you couldn't even call your lawyer, if you couldn't send a letter to your relatives and just, I don't know, find out are they okay or not. 3 days ago, one of the famous political prisoners in Belarus, Sergei Tikhanovsky, it's a husband of Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, real president. the woman who won these elections. So he was released. And it's terrible. I mean, it's amazing that he was released, but he lose, I think, half of his weight. Now he's about 70 kilos, and he's very tall man. He gave his first press conference, I think 2 days ago, and he was crying. He couldn't took his emotions. He couldn't manage it. He was crying when he was talking about this isolation, about the conditions, about tortures which is happening there. But what I wanted also to notice that he was released thanks to, I don't want to say it, but I have to, thanks to Donald Trump and Kellogg, because they made some agreement with Lukashenko.
Yeah.
And, just one visit could release 14 political prisoners.
Yeah.
And it means that all these politicians who is actually doing the terrible stuff with culture, with education, with migrants, they have a power and they could do good thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can manage it, how you can make them make good things, but guys, you have to do it. Please all use all your power and all your voices to make them do it.
Thank you. I'm going to focus a little bit on the theater aspect because and so could you talk a little bit about your process of creating this piece? Uh, did you? I know you worked with a co-writer. Um, uh, did it just evolve slowly? Was there a script written initially? How did you put it all together?
Oh, that's an amazing question because all the process was so intense and fast, but also very slow, and lots of things happened. I mean, as I already told you, I took interview. Um, I interviewed 10 former political prisoners, and I had so many stories about their conditions, about their experience, and also I had Maria Kolesnikova's story, and also I wanted to talk about, all this. In performance, I'm talking about European Union reaction, but actually it's a world reaction when I called it Twitter diplomacy. When in Twitter everybody supports Belarus so much. I mean, each president of European country, each prime minister or parliament, they were so highly concerned about situation in Belarus, and they did nothing before kind of real danger before European citizens became in real danger. So I wanted to bring this topic also. And me as an actress, I also was struggling with a question like, what can I do? What the art could change? Can we somehow, I don't know, influence on the political situation? How can we move all these politicians to do something? So yes, I had lots of pieces, and I was thinking about, yes, the most beautiful example of political art and performance, and for me it's Maryna Abramovich, and I decided to make a conversation with her photo. So yes, in a piece I'm talking to Maryna Abramovich and asking her advice because I have no idea where to move on. But what I wanted to say that at the very middle of a process, I found myself completely lost. I was staying on a stage, and it was so many pieces of paper and pieces of performance around me, and I was staying there and like, oh my God, this is so important, and this is so important, and I also want to say this and this and this and this, and I had no idea how to combine it because I'm not a playwright, I'm an actress and director. I'm a teacher, but I don't know how to write it, how to make this beautiful piece. And I asked my amazing friend and wonderful Belarusian playwright. Now he lives in Poland. It's Mikita Ilyinchik. He's such an amazing and talented playwright. I would love to share his plays with you because yes, he's exploring this European reality in such an interesting way. So I asked him, I called him and I said, like, please save me because I have no idea what to do with this. And he was like, yeah, okay, read me everything what you have. And I think we were talking about 4 hours. I read everything. I explained everything what I wanted to share with the audience. And in a week, he just sent me a script and he said, just try it. And we were exploring, and he also wrote so many interesting, beautiful pieces I would love to play, but unfortunately, it kind of me as a director, I thought it's not passing to this performance. But that was very creative and beautiful process. When he proposed me something, I was trying as an actress, and I said like, oh no, it's not working. Maybe we should do because I have this, um, feeling to say this thing. And he was like, ah, okay, that's interesting. So that was amazing process, and he wrote it, and we made this performance. And he saw this performance first time in his life, 11th of November 2024 in Vienna. And he was also he loved it. We discussed it all night. And I know I'm not a stupid, naive person. I know that this is called accident, but 12th of November 2024, next day, Maria Kolesnikova was kind of allowed this prison meeting with her father. So next day we saw her pictures because it wasn't just normal meeting, prison meeting. It was in presence of propagandists, in the presence of prison staff, cameras, and it was amazing day, but also terrible one because we also saw how tiny she is. She's about 1 meter 70 or even more, but her weight was about 50 kilos, and it was so terrible to see her so skinny, but with this professional makeup because propagandists came there and they wanted to present her in a beautiful way. So yes, that's how this performance was created. And also, I think I have to notice that thanks to artistic solidarity program of Foreign Ministry of International and European Affairs of Austria, and thanks to Mozarteum University, I was um, able to make this performance. So this is also one more interesting topic, how to support Belarusian artists, because like we lose our country, we couldn't do art there, but also we need some money and some, I don't know, place where to create in Europe. So it's very important to support, and I'm very happy to say that so many people and institutions supports Belarusians. But not USA with my visa. Yes.
So we tried with the festival.
Yes, thank you.
Um, so I have a question, and I'm going to relate it a little bit to American artists who are trying to figure things out. And I think one of the really fascinating things for me about the festival is seeing not just Belarusian work, and we also had Ukrainian work, but also work throughout Central and Eastern Europe, grappling with the political issues that are affecting us in one way or another, really across the world at this point. Um, and so I was wondering, I think that sometimes in America, we start feeling like, what can we as theater artists do? Feel a little helpless, and think, we can we can put on a show, but will somebody see it? Will somebody be impacted by it? You know, the government is so powerful. What will it mean? So I just want to maybe hear from you in terms of your experience and what you think, you know, theater has meant in Belarus, the theater that you did in Belarus when you were doing in Belarus, what it means now in Europe while you're in Europe to do this political theater. What sort of impact do you think theater can have in the current day?
It's such a difficult question because actually it can do nothing, but also it can do a lot. Um, I think this is the most important thing, to perform it and to change, to perform, I mean, to present your art, your theater to the audience, because you never know who will be in the audience. For example, when I performed this connection, my connection solo performance in Salzburg, I had no idea that there was amazing lady Helga Rabelstadler in the audience. And when I was not screaming, but I was talking really seriously about this European politique, actually it touched her, and she made kind of meeting with foreign minister of Austria, and we invited Tatiana Homich, it's Maria Kolesnikova's sister, and Tatiana Homich invited so many Belarusian people from Belarusian democratic, I don't know, Tikhanovskaya office, or whatever, and we made amazing evening, an amazing meeting when we discussed what Austrian government could do for releasing of political prisoners. But it happens just because this lady was in the audience. I think it's so important, not even for, you know, great politicians or some important people, but also what I can see with Belarus. Maybe I'm too confident, but I think that this Belarusian revolution happened also because of theater I made. Because since 2007, we made performances, and we presented our performances every year, like at least 3 premieres per year, and we were creating amazing theater. And I think we were kind of raising audience, which was asking right questions. Because for me, theater is not giving question. It is giving us answers. I'm sorry, it's late. It's almost 1 a.m. in Salzburg, so I'm sorry. So theater should ask questions, do not give answers. And when the audience started to ask this question, they started to self-educate themselves. They started to discover topic. They started to digging out in a problematic. And in this case, we are kind of raising amazing society. Not all society, of course, but some people which could actually do something and change something. So I have no idea. Of course, we have to invite politicians. Of course, we have to push them to do something. But also, it's so important to talk to the audience and to explain that, no, guys, you still have the rights. You still have the voice. So let's just do it. Yeah. Because you still have your democracy. Don't lose it, please. And also, your audience should know it.
Edward, at this time,
yeah.
I'm going to come in with the voice of God here. Maryna, your stories are absolutely fabulous. And thank you. I'm not ending this at all. I want to give our attendees an opportunity, if they have any questions for you, to maybe place something in the chat so that we can ask that of you while we have you here. We know it is very, very late where you are, and I don't want to keep you up forever, but we're so privileged that you are actually here with us. I'd like to know if any of the attendees have any questions, if you could put it in the chat now. And let me say while we're waiting for that, that your fascinating story about these women is so inspiring, especially, and I thank you for bringing it to us here, the League of Professional Theater Women, to inspire us to even get more involved in the whole action of what is happening to theater here in the United States. So I'm just wanting to see if anyone has any more questions, anything that they want to put in the chat, uh, or if they want to continue to listen to your wonderful, wonderful stories, and inspiring stories that we have. We have about 15 minutes more left in this session. So, Edward, if I don't see, I think that
Tanya said,
there's one question. I
yeah.
wonder if Maryna can talk about how she used lipstick in the show and what that meant. How about that?
Oh, thank you, Tanya. As you saw, it is amazing image. Me making a beautiful red mess on the floor. So this red mess, it's a red lipstick, and actually, it's a beautiful symbol also of this revolution and of Maria Kolesnikova, because Maria Kolesnikova, she always worn red on her lips. She always used red lipstick, but unfortunately now in Belarusian prisons since 2023, I believe, or even 22, red lipstick is prohibited. So prisoners, women, they allowed to use only no tint lip balm because red lipstick could be qualified as an attempt of a protest. And that's why women, they are passing this lipstick secretly. So they are hiding it in a toilet tank. They are hiding it in a I don't know, in very private spaces, just because it's their chance to protest, at least when they are alone in their standard cell type unit. And that's why I decided to use it, because it's a symbol which each Belarusian can understand and can recognize. This is a symbol which is associated with Maria, but also I'm crushing this lipstick on the floor, and I'm destroying and trying to make a contour of Belarus. But of course, it looks and beautifully and terribly at the same time, because it's kind of, you can see the handprints, fingerprints on the floor, and it looks like so many people are trying to escape from this bloody contour of Belarus. So I actually like how I created this image, and yes, it's. I think it's beautiful one. I'm proud of myself.
um, you know, and is this symbol of revolution connected to the flower revolution and these women who dressed up so well in order to protest?
Yes, of course, because as you mentioned, it was, yes, beautiful flower revolution, flower protest, and women, they put on white clothes, took flowers, and just went on the street, because we were trying to say that, you see, we have no weapon, we have no anything but flowers and our belief in truth. And it was a protest against violence, because in first days after the presidential elections 2020, when Lukashenko falsificated it in such a terrible way, the first 3 days repressions was so high, and men, mostly men, were arrested and beaten very cruelly when people started to get out from the prison, from the centers where criminals located. first 3 days, they were black. They were black and blue. It was really terrible. So that was our gesture against the violence. And also red lipstick, kind of sign of, uh, I don't know, it's so interesting. Everybody thinks that in post-Soviet countries, feminism is in a quite good condition. I mean, we have equal rights and positions with the men, but it's not true. All the society is so patriarchy, and Lukashenko made such a statements like, our constitution's made not for women, so that's why our president should be man. I have just bad words in my mind about it. And also, they were also always saying, like, for Tikhanovskaya, who really won elections, like, you have to be on kitchen and cook borscht. So yes, this red lipstick was a symbol, like, I have the right, see me, I'm visible, I'm beautiful, I'm powerful. And yes, it was also a symbol of this protest.
Um, when you were talking about political theater, I was thinking about, Havel had at one point had to do his theater in apartments. He and his friends would gather, and he wrote these Vanyek plays, and his friends performed it. We had, they had an audience of 20 people, which were also their friends. And I think there was a certain sort of hope in that, but also a hopelessness, because is that who is that going to reach, right? And I think that what's remarkable is also, it's correct that Belarus Free Theater started in very small spaces. Yeah. And
Yes.
yeah, so could you talk about the sort of evolution of who the Belarus Free Theater is and how they involved?
Yeah, we were. Uh, I would love to talk about the building you said about Václav Havel, because I think we were inspired by his experience. Because also at the very beginning we performed in small bars, in cafes, in restaurants, but then dictatorship doesn't like it somehow, didn't like it. So all these bars and cafes experienced crisis, because KGB guys started to came and said, like, no performances, please no. So we decided that we can rent a small house at the suburb of Minsk or whatever, and we broke a wall between two rooms, and in one room we made a stage, in another one it was the audience. And also we were thinking that it could be just 30 people, because it's a small room, it's really a tiny one. But that was so amazing to see how people spreading this information, and how it became more and more people. And at the very end, it was like 60 people in this room. They were sitting like this on the benches. They were sitting, staying next to the window. It was full of the audience. And we performed like twice per day, because we wanted to show our art, and people wanted to see it. So this is amazing power of theater, when they are kind of bringing people together. And during the revolution, I don't think that Belarus Free Theater we're performing, of course, but that was very interesting that our very old, very first performances became actual again. For example, performance about women in a prison in 20 after the protest in 2010, year 2010, it became very actual again in 2020.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's interesting that kind of 10 years left, but situation is the same.
Yeah, but I will also say the impact that the Belarus Free Theater has had just from starting those small areas, and now with big productions, with the London presence, with with people like yourself who have worked with them and are doing their own work, it's really been tremendous. And I think that's, I do think it's inspiring also for us where, people are, sometimes performing in these very small spaces, like the Brick, where Havel came for the
Yes.
Revolution Party. I mean, I think there were 60 seats in the Brick, and it was the smallest venue of the festival, and there we all were stuffed in together, um, and so anyway, I think it does give a certain sort of hope to. I also was talking to a Ukrainian theater person, and they were talking about how in Kharkiv, while the bomb, while Kharkiv was under siege, people went into the bomb shelters and had theater performances, and
Yes.
it was not like there were no there were more people than could fit who wanted to come inside. Uh,
Yes. And also this solidarity, creative theater solidarity.
yeah.
It's boardless, if I could say so. We have students from Kharkov and Kiev in our university, and they shared their experience because, of course, they left Ukraine after the full-scale invasion of Russia in Ukraine, and they told stories about how their colleagues. When they are hiding in these shelters, bomb shelters, I have no idea what is the right word. So the colleagues started to perform just to make, for example, kids do not cry, to comfort the people who is hiding there. And it's so beautiful when you realize that it's kind of very unexpected performance, but beautiful one. Yeah.
I think we had a couple comments. Uh, Lenny, were you going to? I can also read it.
Edward, if you would like to read it, fine. We have a couple of comments from our attendees commenting on how inspirational this is. So can you read them at this time?
Sure, sure.
Yes,
It's
please. Mhm.
Risha. Well, thank you for an inspiring presentation. Edward and Maryna and Alexis Green wrote, this has been very inspiring regarding theater asking questions. I believe that it also provides answers. Shakespeare's history plays, in particular, show that villainous rulers do not ultimately succeed. They destroy and ultimately are destroyed themselves, or themselves destroyed. Um, I think, yeah, go ahead.
I am disagree because kind of in yeah, it's a beautiful with Shakespeare, but in real world, it's not happening like this. Unfortunately, it took so much time. But also, we're talking. I was talking about political theater because it shouldn't be, this posture like this is bad, this is good. No, in this case, people like, okay, audience are not, they are not stupid. They are very clever, much cleverer than actors and directors. And in this case, we have to, we shouldn't say what is right, what is wrong.
Yeah,
We should just
I,
present reality and underline what we think is important.
I,
But
I
yes,
yeah, I think
sorry.
too. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm sorry, didn't mean to. I was just going to mention this was a point that Havel often made during about his own political plays that he what he wanted to do with the plays was ask questions, not provide the answers because he didn't have the answers, and he particularly
Yeah.
wanted to ask questions of himself and the people, the dissidents, because they were often the audience, and ask what is the moral way forward, what is the right thing to do, because it's hard to know, even if you it's in some ways there are certain things that are black and white. There are dictators, and there are people who are being oppressed, and those sorts of things you can see. But what do you do in that circumstance? What is the right choice to make? And I think,
Exactly.
yeah, I'm just going to ask you to mention, this one anecdote, and I think we're going to have to end soon because we're getting late. But one of the decisions I was struck by that you talked about is the question of whether to leave Belarus, and having a family, and how that impacts that question of whether to leave Belarus. And as a dissident, what are the choices that, like, or as somebody who's trying to speak out, what are the choices that you had to face in terms of the way you chose to speak out?
Hmm. I don't know. It's a very complicated. Everything is very complicated because when I was living in my country, everything was settled, and I was allowed to think about art, about developing myself in a creative way, in an artistic way. And now it's mostly surviving. As you remember, it was a person during this Q&A after the performance who asked like how I choose Austria. I didn't choose Austria.
Yeah.
They just gave me a job. They proposed me a job, and that's it. So what I am facing here, it's amazing people, beautiful nature, but also lots of racism, lots of political issues, lots of situation which is remind me Belarusian politics so well, and I have no idea. I don't know how to answer.
Well,
It's such a mixture.
yeah.
So I have to survive, but also I want to keep this creativity and continue to do something. And if we're I have just one question, because I see that people are leaving. Please, you have this right to talk to your politicians. Please ask them to somehow change political situation in Belarus. I don't know how, but just, I don't know, send letters, sign petitions, but please bring this topic on the top, and because as you see, it saves lives. It
Yeah.
saves lives.
And
I'm going to come in now to both of you all. I'm going to come on camera, but I think it's important that you know, that in fact the league is working on a petition as we speak, that we are hoping to write about supporting our own national endowment of the arts here, and starting people to understand the power of that. I think what you all have learned in Europe, we're still trying to learn here now. And that's why it is so important for us to hear your stories, to hear what is going on. This has been absolutely invaluable. I can't tell you. I I want to say let's plan part part B, part C. But I don't want to keep you every night, keep you up at 1 o'clock in the morning to come. But it is for me, it's a very important thing that we understand here in America that we are not getting all the information. This is why your stories are so important. Is because these are stories that we haven't heard. These are not disseminated to us. And so this film, this representation will be shown in the fall over and over and over again. Your story will be told again and again and again to audiences. If I have anything to do with it, and they may throw me out because of it, but I really don't care. Um, it is so, so very important that we understand that theater should be a place where we can create and lead and envision to the world where it should be and can be without interference. And until we achieve that, we have to keep fighting for it. Freedom is something that you must fight for. It doesn't come easily. So with that, I'm going to say thank you both. So wonderfully have you both told your stories. Have you, Edward, you are always welcome to come back to our all women's organization. We love you. And Maryna, really, I want you to come back and speak more to us about it and speak in America about it. And, the fact that you were denied your green card, we'll get into that. That's not making me very happy.
Hey, it wasn't green card, it was just a visa,
Just a
one
visa,
time
just a
visiting.
visa
Yes,
to come in and work.
yes.
It's an important topic that we understand that these circumstances are affecting you as it is affecting us, and that's why this is so
Thank
very
you.
important. And with this, I am going to say to our attendees, thank you so very much. Yes, Edward,
I'm
I
going to
see
just
your
mention one
finger.
last thing.
Yes, yes.
If you want to see the actual performance, it's on rehearsalfortruth.org. It's free. You can just go on to the website and click through and see the performance. It's up for the whole month of July. And maybe if we put this out again, I'll talk to Maryna if we want to make it
Yes,
available.
yes. Well, yes, I was going to say, and Tanya has put it on the chat. She's put in the chat so
Yeah.
people can go there and see it. I cannot thank you enough for this. I know that it's taken a lot of your time and your efforts. I thank you for your talent. I thank you for your drive. I thank you for your commitment, your relentlessness. Being a woman of color, I understand so much, more than you think, of what you were trying to say. So thank you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a great
I'm going
honor.
to, it is our honor to have you. I'm going to end this now by saying thank you everyone for this, but I want you all to please stay on because it is absolutely necessary that I say a word to you personally. So thank you, Tanya, for coming in. And with this, we will end this particular professional seminar. And I hope those of you who have watched it, those of you who are here with us, and those who will watch it as a film I hope you play it again and again. There are things I know that I want to edit out so that we can just use them to preview this that Maryna has said. So thank you very much. And with that, we say good night.